just south of the Empire, the Black Mountains present an almost impossible barrier to travel. Throughout the ages, the few passes along these mountains have seen more than their share of bloodshed. And today appears to be no exception. To the south, an elite force of High Elves escorts the Everqueen of Ulthuan on a diplomatic mission to the heart of the Empire. But to the north, a menacing force of Orcs, Goblins, and Trolls has risen to meet her. With the Everqueen and all she represents in peril, this battle is likely to shape history. I'm Princess Devon for Imperial Action News, and this is the Battle Report. Your Majesty, it seems that your force has run into an ambush. Any thoughts? Darling, as Asuri and Isha and all the other gods of the Aena are our guardians, we must believe fate led us here for a reason. The skill and courage of our soldiers is unsurpassed, and once these creatures taste elven steel and elven magic, they shall know our powers and curse the moment they chose to stand against us. Please describe your escort. Starting on our right flank, we have one Great Eagle, 10 archers, and an Eagle Claw bolt thrower. Then 50 Lothern Sea Guard with full command. 29 Sword Masters of Hoth with full command. Accompanying ourselves, our battle standard bearer, and a brave noble with an ogre blade. 30 Sisters of Avalorn. And finally, 10 more archers and 1 more Great Eagle. Thank you, Your Majesty, and good luck. Let's turn now to the Orc warboss. General, you seem to have set a trap for the Everqueen. How'd that come about?
Acquiring that information was no small feat, I can tell you. We had to know exactly when and where the Everqueen would be passing through these mountains. And now here we are. I think that says something about Orc intelligence, wouldn't you say?
Well, you did seem to arrive at the right place at the right time. Tell me about the forces you've assembled.
Starting to my right, I've got 20 Night Goblin spearmen with full command and nets. And then another 20 spearmen also with full command and nets. In the center, 18 terrifying trolls. On my extreme left, a mangler squig. And a mob of 37 orc boy biggins with full command and a great shaman. Behind the trolls, I've got a goblin rock lobber, 21 night goblin archers with a musician and a goblin shaman, another rock lobber, and another 20 night goblin archers with a musician. And most importantly, bringing it all together, there's me, Warboss Bogo, a Black Orc warboss with the armor of Gork, and my wyvern Blando, named after the bloody king himself.
Thank you, Warboss Bogo. Eager to get to the Elves, the Orcs and the Goblins resist their tendency toward animosity and begin moving forward. As the Mangler Squig bounds toward the forest, the Orc boys move forward, hugging the wall. Warboss Bogo's other units then adjust their positions. The Great Shaman casts Gaze of Mork at the Sisters of Avalorn, but falls just short. The Great Shaman then casts Edbutt at the Everqueen, but fails to wound her. Both rock lobbers then deliver their payload into the Sisters with stunning accuracy, smashing a full rank of them. But demonstrating insane courage, the sisters remain strong. Both great eagles swoop toward the enemy. As the Everqueen's unit reforms to position her better for spellcasting. With the winds of magic very weak, Alarielle attempts to cast Regrowth upon the Sisters of Avalorn, but is dispelled by the Great Shaman. With their deadly bows and flaming arrows, the sisters kill one troll and seriously wound another. Elf archers kill one of the advancing boys. The bolt thrower then pierces two more boys. And shooting over the wall, the Sea Guard managed to kill one more boy. The final group of archers kills one of the goblin spearmen. The Mangler Squig crashes dangerously through the woods towards the sisters, but suffers no damage. The trolls then also move into the woods, keeping themselves obscured from the many elf archers. The goblin archer units maneuver. Both spear units garrison buildings near the elf waystone. The orc boys continued to advance along the wall. And warboss Bogo flies to a position of cover. The Great Shaman attempts to cast Fists of Gork, but Alarielle dispels it. The Great Shaman then headbutts the Everqueen, but the banner of the World Dragon protects her. And the detonation from irresistible force kills two more boys. With incredible luck, Night Goblin archers manage to kill a great eagle. Both rock labas then miss their targets, and one becomes temporarily disabled. The remaining great eagle moves closer to its war machine quarry. As Alarielle's unit moves cautiously toward the trolls, the Everqueen successfully casts Throne of Vines, then fails Regrowth upon the Sisters of Avalorn. Elf archers shoot at the Mangler Squig but miss, while the other unit of archers shoots down 3 orc boys. The bolt thrower then misses the boys. The Sea Guard then killed the Mangler Squig, leaving the sisters a clear shot at the trolls. And, seizing the opportunity, the sisters slay 2 more of the lumbering green monstrosities. Warboss Bogo charges boldly through the arrows of the sisters, suffering a wound to his wyvern. And as soon as the warboss is out of sight, goblins begin to misbehave. Goblin archers throw rocks at the nearby orcs, killing one of them, prompting the orcs to throw rocks back, killing 2 goblins with their much bigger rocks. The other archers begin squabbling about which of them killed the great eagle. Meanwhile, the trolls sidestep to be better covered by the abyssal wood, and the goblin spearmen emerge from their huts. With all his wizards fighting or squabbling, the warboss dispels the Throne of Vines by sheer force of will. A direct hit from the rock lobber slays 8 sword monsters. Impact hits from the armor of Gork failed to slay any of the sisters, but the sisters also completely fail to wound the wyvern. Warboss Bogo then mercilessly slays 3 sisters, and his wyvern Blando shreds and stomps 6 more. Nonetheless, the steadfast sisters remain strong. The Great Eagle charges a goblin rock lava. As Alarielle's swordmasters charge the nearby goblin spearmen. The Everqueen casts Throne of Vines. She then attempts to cast Regrowth on the swordmasters, but is scrolled by the goblin shaman. The Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower again misses the boys, but elf archers slay 2 boys. The other elf archers slay 5 goblin spearmen, and Sea Guard arrows bring down 2 more boys. Unnerved by the swordmasters, the goblin spearmen manage to net themselves. The elf noble then slays 2 goblins. The battle standard bearer slays 1 goblin. The elf musician kills the goblin champion. And the remaining swordmasters slay 7 more goblins. In return, the netted and devastated goblins only manage to slay 1 swordmaster before the goblins break and run for their lives, causing the other nearby goblin spearmen to turn and flee in panic. The swordmasters then reform to better face the trolls. The Great Eagle and the Rock Lava crew cause no injury to each other. But terrified by the Great Bird, the goblins turn and flee, and the Rock Lava is destroyed. The Great Eagle then hops toward the next rock lava, causing the nearby archers to release fanatics into its path. Forcing the eagle to overrun 2 of them and transforming it into a cloud of feathers. Still enraged from the previous show of disrespect, the orcs throw rocks at the goblins, killing 1 of them. And the goblins throw back, killing another of the orc boys. And the goblin shaman's unit continues to squabble about who is the best shot. Terrified goblin spearmen scurry up the mountainside and out of the battle, while the other spearmen manage to rally. The trolls reform to better face the swordmaster. Warboss Bogo again wheels away the Throne of Vines. The remaining rock lava misfires and destroys itself, as the nearby fanatic spins crazily toward nothing. Despite their speed and skill, the sisters fail to wound the warboss. The warboss then kills 2 sisters, and the wyvern stomps another 2 sisters. Nonetheless, with the Everqueen and the battle standard nearby, the sisters again refuse to break. The mighty swordmasters charge toward the terrifying trolls, causing the nearby goblin archers to launch 3 fanatics through the trolls and into the path of the swordmasters. The giant whirling maces smash 2 trolls as the fanatics pass through, but the charging swordmasters cannot avoid overrunning them, and 12 swordmasters are splattered across the battlefield. Both elf archer units reform, and the Sea Guard shifts sideways to get a better shot at the orc boys. The Everqueen again casts Throne of Vines. She then attempts to cast Regrowth, which is dispelled. Using the Staff of Avalorn, she then re-attempts Regrowth. And this time she successfully restores 7 swordmasters. Finally, she casts Flesh to Stone on the Swordmasters, significantly changing the odds against the once overconfident trolls. The bolt thrower again misses the orc boys, while the archers kill another of them, and the Sea Guard shoot down 2 more. Despite vexing regeneration, the Swordmasters slaughter 2 trolls, and due to their incredibly hard skin, the Swordmasters suffer only 1 loss in return. Completely overwhelmed, the trolls flee through the nearby goblin archers, escaping the pursuing Swordmasters, which just stops short of the archers. And more stunned than brave, the goblin archers hold their ground. The Sisters of Avalorn again fail to wound warboss Bogo, and the warboss and Wyvern crush all but one of the sisters, causing the final maiden to flee. But she is mercilessly run down by the warboss. Ouch! That's not pretty. With the battle having turned critical, none of the orcs or goblins display any further animosity. As the orc boys charge the Sea Guard, elf arrows kill 1 more boy. The trolls miraculously rally and reform, as the goblin archers also reform and attempt to get out of the way. The goblin spearmen also reform to face the Swordmasters, as do the goblin shaman archers. The warboss then positions himself to charge various enemy units. And the last remaining fanatic spins uselessly toward the mouth of the pass. The great shaman attempts to cast Fists of Gork, but is dispelled by the Everqueen. The shaman then shuts down the Throne of Vines, and the goblin shaman casts Sneaking Stabbin on the trolls. Goblin archers fire at the Swordmasters, but miss. With their martial prowess, the Sea Guard kill 10 orc boys and wound the great shaman. In return, the boys and their chappas slay 9 Sea Guard. And, with the warboss nearby, the boys refuse to run. Unable to resist an exposed rear, the Swordmasters charge the goblin archers. The Everqueen attempts to cast Throne of Vines, but is dispelled by the great shaman. She then blesses the Swordmasters with Flesh to Stone, and uses Regrowth to restore 4 more Swordmasters. The bolt thrower shoots at the warboss but misses, and both archer units also fail to wound the warboss. Striking from the rear, the Swordmasters and nobles manage to kill 11 goblins, without suffering any wounds in return. The terrified goblins barely outrun the Swordmasters, as they scramble over the wall. And the pursuing Swordmasters find themselves in a bad position. The Sea Guard fail to wound the great shaman, but slay another 5 boys. In return, the boys slay only 1 Sea Guard. The remaining boys flee, and the Sea Guard only half-heartedly pursue. Hungry for payback, the trolls charge the Swordmasters in the rear. And warboss Bogo charges the Sea Guard in the flank. The fleeing goblin archers rally and reform, and the Goblin Shaman's unit moves closer to the action. The crazed fanatic spins out of sight. Despite Alarielle's efforts to dispel, the Goblin Shaman casts Sneaky Stabbing on the trolls. Impact hits from the armor of Gork kill one Seaguard, and the Seaguard are unable to wound either the warboss or his wyvern. Warboss Bogo then kills 3 Seaguard. The wyvern shreds 2 more, and then the wyvern stomps 4 more Seaguard into the ground. Despite the superior numbers, the astonished Seaguard turn and flee. But they are run down and the entire unit slaughtered by Warboss Bogo. Wading to the rear, the Ogre Blade Noble inflicts grievous wounds upon one of the trolls, but the troll regenerates all of them. The rear sword masters then slay a single troll, before the sneaky trolls tear apart 12 sword masters, causing the Everqueen and sword masters to flee for their lives. With her unit absolutely crushed and the trolls fast on their heels, the Everqueen's unit flees up the mountainside, hoping to find some means of escape. The bolt thrower strikes the wyvern, inflicting serious injury, and the combined archers manage to wound it again, nearly killing the beast. Before the elves realize they have no more reason to fight. As the battle reaches its end, only a handful of elves remain in the pass, which is now solidly under the control of Warboss Bogo's forces. Warboss Bogo, you all but wiped the elves from this pass. Any final thoughts?
My only regret is that the Everqueen escaped up that slope. But I've got plenty of men beating the bushes looking for her. We'll find her soon enough, and when we do, I think I'll make her one of my wives. That'll be the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Well, here's hoping Alarielle had a few more tricks up her sleeve. She's had a really bad day today. For Imperial Action News, I'm Princess Devon. Thank you for watching.